Hey everybody, my name is Chris Sear. I'm joined with Tim O'Neill. We're the partners and Tim's the founder of our rally school, and we're getting the opportunity to do some rally this year together. I'm in a limited two-wheel drive rally car and Tim's in an open two-wheel drive rally car. And we're going to take a chance after every rally to talk with you guys about what we learned as a chance to hopefully help you if you ever want to go on a journey and try to actually do your own rally race. In my limited two-wheel drive Ford Fiesta, I have front-wheel drive, so that limits me in a lot of ways, and Tim is an expert in that, so I'm going to use his expertise to help break down some of my mistakes. And Tim's going to get to talk a little bit about some of the things he learns as he continues to do multiple hundreds of rallies now, and we're going to hopefully use our mistakes and learning opportunities to give you some more expertise as well. So one of the things that we talked about at the Bristol Rally was using front-wheel drive, going up hills, trying to use less brake. Everything about front-wheel drive is left foot braking and using the brake to get around corners but keeping the gas on. I had to use the opportunity to really use less brake and try to use lifting. So maybe can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, so front-wheel drive is beneficial in low grip areas, beneficial downhill where you can stay on the gas, and you can stay on the gas through the corner hard. You really control wheel spin and turn in with the brake, except for uphill around turns. The weakness, the part that most people don't like about front-wheel drive, is as you're going up a hill, you're on the gas, but you're trying to turn, and the more gas you give it, the more wheel spin you get, the less it turns. So you really can't keep on the gas going uphill around a corner. And if you try to brake going uphill, you'll slow down. So what I say is, on an uphill type situation, you can let off the gas on a front wheel drive, and because it's going uphill, the car won't really rotate. You won't spin out by letting off the gas going up a hill. Obviously, if you let off the gas too much, you're not going to make it up the hill. So you got to find that balance when you're going uphill around a corner. Try not to left foot brake as much, but just try to ease off the gas and control the wheel spin and your steering with the throttle, not so much on the brake. Of course, that's a disadvantage for a rear-wheel drive vehicle, which I love rear-wheel drive as well. I can stay on the gas, and the more gas I give it, the more the rear wheels are going to spin, and I can just stay on the gas and steer, and I can go around an uphill turn faster than a front-wheel drive can. But when I'm going downhill around a corner, I have to ease off the gas and carefully brake, and I can't jump on the gas. It's a real disadvantage where you can go down and just stay right on the gas and turn in and ride the brake all the way down the hill. So you're going to be faster on that downhill corner than I would be. So every car has a weakness and a strength. So I like the rear-wheel drive because it's fun, and I did a lot of rallying, and all my rallying was front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So this is an opportunity for me to have a little fun and be a cowboy.
Right. Well, this is my third rally ever, so I'm not brave down hills yet. But I think one of the things, if you've joined us for a 5-day rally school, you get a chance to learn these techniques, which I've gotten a lot of time at the rally school, but getting on a real stage, going down those hills and being brave enough to brake late enough and not tap my brakes more than I have to, and those are the things that I'm getting to learn now that I'm on stage. But I lost my brakes at the end of my first stage, and so I went into the second stage, and there's a nice section where there's an uphill, and my co-driver had some mechanical experience too, but I was forced to use lifting to get up the hill and not use any brakes, so I got to really implement that training right then and really see how it worked. And it is shocking to see, half lifts with no brakes up a hill was the perfect technique to get around a left 3, a left 2. So it's just trusting the car to do what it needs to do, and that's a new experience for me. So definitely something that was fun.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is the lift oversteer is important on lower speed stuff. So when, left foot braking works well at higher speed, medium speed, but when you get to really low speed and sharp corners, you really need to lift more than brake. And another thing that you didn't mention is your experience of now you're driving, but you're driving on a road you've never been on before, or maybe once you've been on, but you got to listen and you got to drive with what you hear. And that can be very difficult for some people. And when you get excited or scared or whatever, it's the natural tendency is to stop listening and just drive what you can see. So I find that the lift oversteer on a front wheel drive is really only on the uphills, the tight corners, where left foot braking you simply don't have enough momentum to shift the weight.
So talking specifically about the Bristol Rally, it was very tight, right? Those were tight roads with 1s, 2s, and 3s primarily, and the notes that we were hearing. So just in your experience, what did you think of those roads? What did you think of the rally?
Well, I brought the wrong vehicle for those roads. The roads are very narrow and tricky, and I know I was in first gear on a lot of the hairpin turns. I hadn't really been in first gear much on my car. So it was a challenge for me. I loved the roads. They were really, they're really tight, and you'd have all these mountains, little mountains, and you'd go left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right, and you were just going around these mountains, and it was very narrow. They were old logging roads, I guess, and but when you got into the rhythm and you could just kind of chuck the car, throw the car sideways, and for me, it was a challenge too because I haven't driven rear-wheel drive much. So it's really about, get the speed right, turn in, and then just jump on the gas. And that's what, the old days, that's what we did. Most people, that's all they can do. And I kind of forgot that I needed to do that. So the first stage, I was a little bit soup. I was going slow, and I was trying to left foot brake around the corner like it was a front-wheel drive, and I was all over the place. And emotionally, I'm a basket case. So finally, after by the fourth, fifth stage, I really started getting into it. Yeah. And then, of course, I had a car fire.
We're going to talk about that in a second. So I was only able to get to the second stage where I had a mechanical failure and my diff decided to quit. And that was definitely, we talked a little bit more about that. And I'm in a standard gearbox with a fairly standard diff, nothing too race car-y. So my equipment wasn't ready for what I was trying to force it to do. I was on a section, finally got my brakes back. I had enough air flowing by my brakes that they were coming back. So I started to drive faster and hit a rough section of that rally. And I was trying to turn in, go around a corner, too much turning, too much aggression on the gas because I was now speeding up again because I was excited. And my equipment wasn't ready for that. So maybe talk a little bit about your experience in mechanical sympathy and trying to drive within the limits of the car.
Right. Well, that's the one thing you don't experience at driving at the school. It's all smooth and nice, so you don't have to deal with it. Well, this rally was rough in spots, and I think what Chris learned this time, and I think is what happened is he was going over the rough spot. You can go over the rough stuff fast. But you need to not be hard on the gas, because if you're spinning the tires a lot and you're going over the rough spot, the tire will jump up and hit a bump, and it'll spin really hard and then slam back down. And that shock loading is what breaks transmissions and differentials. So I think all you have to do is when you go over the rough stuff is just lift off the gas a little bit. It's okay to do 60, 70 miles an hour over rough bits, right, but not spinning and not big steering.
Right. Maybe doing both, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to the video, but I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. It was like a left two.
And that's something also in our training, and I've worked with you a number of times, I didn't tell you that. I didn't think to tell you that,
Right. Just the things that we have to go do a real rally to, break down, and that's why we got to do this.
Well, we learned from driving older, small, standard production-based vehicles. If you wanted to fix that problem and you wanted to go hammering over that, you'd get a special gearbox, a racing transmission with bigger, thicker gears. It's really designed to be able to handle that. So you could, if you had a stronger transmission, you could do that. But because of what you're operating, you need to learn to drive within the limits of the vehicle's engineering.
And, right. And if I did that, I wouldn't be in the limited two-wheel drive class anymore. So my goal is to learn as much as I can in the class I'm in and then maybe move up to the next class. But this is something I'll have to know for the next rallies is, when that rough stuff, either keep it straight or be lighter in my inputs if I'm on something that rough, so that I'm not shock loading the standard equipment that I'm going to be running for the foreseeable future anyways. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about why we have the Carb here. So if you watched our previous video on how the Carb works, we wanted to break down that for you, but your rally ended with this piece of equipment, so maybe tell us what happened in your mind.
Well, yeah, and what I think happened was I had too much fuel pressure, and it started with earlier on I had a fuel pressure gauge that ended up not working. So I adjusted my carburetor and the gauge wasn't working, so I had way more fuel pressure than I knew. Then we had to change the fuel pressure gauge and adjusted the fuel pressure, but the fuel pressure creeped up. Well, for whatever reason, it's supposed to have up to 7 pounds of fuel pressure. And when I looked, it was a little over 9 pounds of fuel pressure. So I think what happened was at 9 pounds of fuel pressure and the car bouncing, the float couldn't keep up, and fuel just overfilled the bowl. And when the fuel overfills the bowl, it comes out the vent. And inside here is your air filter, and if fuel comes out of the vent, it goes down in the engine. And it's raw fuel, and it's unregulated fuel, and it's just too much fuel. And eventually, when I went to start the car, that too much fuel made it backfire. And when it backfired, it ignited the fuel in here, caught my air filter on fire, and that sent me running out of the vehicle with a fire extinguisher. And normally, I don't consider myself a rookie, but I did a rookie move, and I had my intercom wire still hooked to my helmet. I made it to almost the hood when I realized my head was being yanked back by the cord. So it was a little bit of a disaster for me. Normally I'm kind of smooth and slick on emergencies, but I really did act like a rookie on this one. But yeah, put out the fire with my handheld extinguisher. And I probably could have lowered the fuel pressure and got it running again, but the air filter was so burnt, I decided I didn't want to ruin anymore, and I had as much fun as I could handle for the day, so I thought I'd retire from the rally.
Cool. Well, we're going to get to do this again, hopefully 4 or 5 more rallies this year. So Ohio's our next rally, and we'll do some more breakdown after that event, and hopefully it's 2 finished rally cars, and we're just talking about some technique that we could have done a little bit better. But thank you for your time, Tim.
You're welcome. And we learn more from our mistakes than our successes.
Right, and that's why we're hopefully giving that to you as well. So we learn
from our mistakes.
Look forward to talking with you guys again.